Welcome to Eye on America. I'm Michelle Miller. Today we celebrate some of America's diverse communities and the contributions they're making in building our nation's culturally rich identity. In Northern California, we look into the boba boom that's sweeping the nation. And down in Los Angeles, we learn how the iconic Lowrider went from being banned on the streets to being showcased in a museum. But we begin in New York City, which has taken in more than 200,000 migrants since the spring of 2022. Lilia Luciano meets a Brooklyn teen whose idea to help migrant children feel more welcome kicked off a bi-weekly meetup offering joy and connection.
Every other Saturday, these indoor fields in Brooklyn host a soccer clinic that stretches the globe.
Most of them are from South American countries like Venezuela, but every week we're getting more and more kids from Afghanistan, which is really cool, and they all work together.
So now, this is deciding it.
16-year-old Talia Landesberg learned the language of soccer when she was 4.
They win, okay.
Soccer is such a universal sport that you don't really need to talk the same language to play.
She joined a global community of 3.5 billion fans who feel happy and at home in a soccer, or better yet, football field, no matter where they were born.
Every 2 weeks, he knows that it's time to play soccer and he's happy. Feliz. Muy feliz. ¿Y de dónde son? De Perú. De Perú.
No, de Estados Unidos.
De Estados Unidos. I just asked, and where are you from? And she goes, we're from Peru. And he goes, no, from the United States. What does the program give them?
Distracción.
Distraction.
A distraction Talia came up with when she learned of the harsh living conditions in the crowded migrant shelters of New York City.
There's not much room for fun things that a kid should experience, like arts and sports.
She had been volunteering for Artists, Athletes, and Activists, a nonprofit that stepped in when governors from border and other states started busing migrants into the city.
So unfortunately, there's so many policies that are being put in place to make this process difficult for them. They face a lot of bullying. The kids face bullying.
Founder Power Malu says his organization has been responding to crises since 2017 in response to Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico.
Roberto Clemente comes to bat.
Inspired by the vision of an athlete, a baseball hero who made the ultimate sacrifice while delivering humanitarian aid.
Kind of like what Roberto Clemente's dream was when he sent aid to Nicaragua. He wanted to make sure that it got to the people, and so that's where the idea stemmed from.
In 1972, at the height of his success, Pittsburgh Pirates right fielder Roberto Clemente died in a plane crash off the coast of his native town of Carolina, Puerto Rico, on New Year's Eve, flying aid to the victims of a devastating earthquake in Nicaragua.
Uh-oh.
Power's story of his organization took me by surprise. I knew the story well.
You know, I'm getting chills because that trip was organized between Roberto Clemente and my grandmother, Belda González de Modesti, and my grandfather, Héctor Modesti. And they were supposed to be in that plane with him, and last minute they didn't get in that plane. It's amazing to see the cyclical nature of aid.
Yeah, and because of that, like, our organization is artists, athletes, activists. That's what I see Roberto Clemente as. That's what I see a lot of our heroes as. Selfless, seeing that there's a need, no matter where the people are from, just help human beings. And that's exactly what we're doing.
3, 2, 1, go!
That's why when Talia called with an idea, Power and his team mobilized to bring it onto the field.
Here's a teenager who has a skill. She plays soccer, she wanted to give back, and she just made it happen.
And the clinics aren't just taking the kids away from the journey behind and the uncertainty ahead. The field also opens a space for parents to find hope in their kids' biggest dreams.
Has he changed? Has he gotten happier, different?
Yeah, they are very happy.
Yeah. Tell me what the clinic has been like for you.
It's like I feel like I'm playing a real game.
We turn now from the soccer field to the baseball diamond. The Foundry Giants were a largely forgotten all-black team in the Midwest independent leagues when the game was still racially segregated in the MLB. Now, nearly 100 years later, those players are finally getting their due. Charlie DeMar from CBS News Chicago explains how the team is now inspiring a new generation of ball players.
Dip it in here and then kind of roll it off.
With each drop of paint, a lesser-known history is spread at the Boys and Girls Club in South Bend, Indiana.
They didn't at first all play baseball.
Nearly 100 years after they played, names like Mitchell, Thomas Poindexter, John Big Pitch Williams, and Dusty Riddle are all getting another at-bat.
They were Foundry Giants. The men played on an all-black baseball team made up of workers from the Studebaker car factory. They played mostly white teams in South Bend's Industrial League in the 1920s and 30s, decades before Jackie Robinson integrated Major League Baseball.
Lots of different types of pinstripes and...
Is it right to touch?
Oh, absolutely.
The team's rich history was recovered at the University of Notre Dame's Hesburgh Library.
We have the one photo of the Foundry Giants from the 1920s and have no other references.
Using that single black and white picture of the team and catalogs of uniforms from the time, design professor Clint Carlson and students like Kaya Jones began to reimagine what the Giants' uniforms looked like.
We're able to look at stuff from the 1920s and see, what were people wearing, what were the stylistic choices at that time.
Part of the reason for telling this history is because it's a history of resilience and strength. The time period that they lived in, not dissimilar sometimes to some of the issues we face today.
Jones is a senior at Notre Dame, majoring in Africana Studies and Design.
We made a lot of stencils for these designs that you see.
She learned about the Giants last year and now works on the project as a research assistant and helps lead workshops like these at the Boys and Girls Club, talking with kids about race, representation, and access.
There was more to them than just being a baseball player. They were vital people to the community who made a significant push for black rights in South Bend.
Knuckles to the sky, got a point like that.
That unique history now lives at Foundry Field, a South Bend park that was somewhat forgotten, just like the Giants. Now both are getting the applause they deserve.
So far, the project has raised over $200,000 and wants to raise $500,000 more. That money is needed for stands, lighting, and improvements to the field.
What do you remember about doing this? Was it fun?
Yeah.
On the outfield wall, there's a mural highlighting the work of underrepresented artists and the faces of giants who were overlooked, painted by kids who in large part haven't been part of America's pastime.
Okay, who can do that all in one motion? Me?
I'm committed to making sure that young black people get a chance to play the game that my father loved, that my father taught me.
Milt Lee is the community director of athletics for South Bend Schools and a partner on the Foundry Field project. He says this diamond represents inclusion and equity in the game of baseball.
I see so many kids who just don't have the skill set, they don't have the mentors, they don't have the access, they don't have the equipment. This field and these people can help provide that for these kids.
Maybe grow some major leaguers right here.
Maybe grow some major leaguers right here in South Bend.
A baseball field devoted to honoring forgotten and marginalized teams of old.
On your mark, get set, go!
Now a symbol of what's possible.
Coming up, we look at the bubbling demand across the country for a tasty Asian drink. This is Eye on America. Welcome back. The popular Taiwanese drink boba can be found in more coffee and juice shops in America in recent years. The drink, which is traditionally made of black tea, milk, and tapioca balls, has an especially dedicated customer base among Gen Z consumers. The bubble tea market has now reached nearly $1 billion annually in the U.S., and it's projected to keep growing. Jolene Kent meets some of the entrepreneurs who are bringing the boba boom to the U.S.
In Hayward, California.
So this is it, our U.S. boba factory.
At America's first boba factory.
It smells
so good.
Really? You like
Yeah,
it? That's the brown sugar smell.
I suited up to see what's behind the bubble tea boom across the country.
Boba's been in the United States for a long time, and yet production here within the U.S. is still really challenging.
For boba, you don't have it here. The only way we can do it is to start everything from scratch.
U.S. Boba Company was founded by entrepreneurs David Fan, Andrew Chow, and Bing Chen. They make the iconic chewy balls that make up so many boba drinks here, instead of importing them from Asia. Here, the balls that start as tapioca starch
Here we go. Ready?
get flavored, mixed, and rolled in a tumbler till they're just the right size to fit into those iconic wide straws.
Oh, there's a big ball.
Oh, you see the big ball?
Oh, no. Boba maker in training over here. See, this is not good.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure every single boba is the
roughly
same
the same
size so
size.
that it cooks at the same rate.
Exactly.
From there, the tapioca balls are sorted into batches, enough for 10,000 cups each.
Thank you. Can I take it home? Why did you start this and go into the boba business more than a decade ago?
The quick answer is I want a free boba.
Andrew Chow is also one half of Boba Guys, the national bubble tea chain he co-founded with fellow Taiwanese American Chen.
I think a lot of founders start a company as a reflection of some hidden or overt part of their identity. There was maybe a part of us that was like, can we make our culture cool or mainstream or accessible? This is where the next level of magic happens. We're in one of our stores right now. We're gonna boil the boba. And you're gonna pour that in.
All of it?
There it is.
So we're looking for the equivalent of al dente, but for boba.
Yeah. You wanna learn a term? You probably know the term.
QQ.
Oh, okay, what does QQ mean?
The chewiness factor?
Yeah.
I guess I know this from my Taiwanese background.
Boba first emerged in the 1980s out of tea shops in Taiwan.
All right, we are in Jiufen.
Chow and Chen traveled there to trace the drink's origins. Now Boba Guys is one of a growing number of companies that's helped bubble tea become a $2.6 billion business in the U.S. alone.
I drink boba like every day.
I'm addicted. Maybe that's it. Maybe I don't love it. Maybe I'm just addicted.
According to Yelp, the number of boba cafes across the country has skyrocketed almost 50% over the last few years.
The taste and the palate of Americans are changing. Just much more international kind of awareness. And I think that has helped the boba industry.
What makes a good boba order?
Despite how complex people think it is, it's just boba, milk, tea, and some type of sweetener.
Now we're getting into it. We're gonna make boba.
Here we go.
So 1 scoop, boba first.
Yep, boba first.
I've been drinking this stuff my entire life. It's the first time I've ever made it.
There you go. It's a little foamy. How's the texture?
This is so good.
Good?
Now, Starbucks is jumping on the bandwagon, saying it'll add pearls inspired by East Asian beverages to some summer drinks.
We think there's a larger kind of collision course down the road with other cafe styles.
Coffee?
Maybe coffee, maybe smoothies.
Do you worry at all with boba becoming so popular that maybe it won't be so closely linked to its Taiwanese roots?
That is always going to be a worry. My thing is this, people are learning about Taiwanese culture more than ever before. I think if that's the reason why something becomes mainstream, I think I'm all for it.
Ahead, why a once controversial car is now being heralded as a work of art. That story is next. We close our show exploring the history and cultural impact of the Lowrider. A new exhibition at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles examines the cruiser's origins in Latin American culture. I recently toured the showcase to see how the iconic car's reputation shifted gears from criminalization to celebration.
Inside the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles, there are jewels on display that have a criminal past.
This is Troquito Loca. This is a truck that also features an intricate paint job and murals that represent the Mexican Revolution.
Once in trouble with the law, lowriders are now works of art.
This is as low as you can go.
Curated here by Autumn Neary.
They are intricately engraved, painted, detailed, engines, undercarriages. Every part of these cars are touched to be really artworks and to showcase Latino culture.
That culture, still vibrant, remains true to roots planted some 80 years ago by young Chicano men in the Southwest. Then they transformed discarded Chevys and added hydraulics to raise and lower the cars. Flashy paint jobs made them beacons for the police, who saw it all as bad boy behavior and made arrests. California passed a law banning lowriding and cruising.
Why now?
The exhibition actually coincides with the repeal in California of the lowrider ban on cruising. So it's sort of timely in that we're celebrating the roots of this car culture as cruising the boulevards.
So museums through exhibits make a statement. What is the Peterson Museum trying to say?
We're making the statement that these are the pinnacle of car modifications, that these are artworks, they're cultural artworks, and that they deserve to be celebrated in a museum setting.
Double trouble.
This one was created primarily to win car competitions, and it was Lowrider of the Year 3 times in a row, which is the most that any car can win that title.
And today on the streets, when the lowriders show their stuff, some have added police sirens to mock the time when they were criminalized. Ironic, too, the celebrity status the cars received as stars in commercials.
In detailing every detail.
And in movies.
Lowriding is all around the world. It really has become a global phenomenon.
They've gone wild.
They've gone definitely wild.
Now that's a lowrider.
Cruising through this exhibit, the cars here are pinnacles of wildness.
This Lincoln Continental is known as Las Vegas. This really plush, elaborate interior style sort of came about in the 70s, but we wanted to feature one of those truly over-the-top interiors.
So craps, you have blackjack, poker.
A little bit of everything. You could have a whole game night just with this vehicle.
And slot machines even.
Yes.
It's a sea of cars with personalities.
This is one of my favorite vehicles in the exhibition. This one is from Japan. This is so special because it appears to be engraved, but what is actually happening is a thick special paint has been applied and the paint has been engraved. And our other car from Japan is here. This is Sphinx, and it features a really glittery paint job, which has become a hallmark of a lot of Japanese lowriders.
And look at that interior velvet.
There is nothing that is not elaborate on this car.
And then there's this car.
Yes, this is Game Killer, a Chevy Caprice, and this was built by Tina Blankenship Early, known as the First Lady of Lowriding and a great figure in the lowrider community.
Tina Blankenship is certainly a star among lowriders, showing too it's no longer just a men's club.
This is your backyard.
Yes.
The garage.
Her museum piece was built out back at her South Central Los Angeles home.
This is a hot rod?
Yes.
How do we know this is a hot rod?
Because it has the big wheels on it.
And that's a lowrider?
That's a lowrider.
Because of the little wheels?
And the suspension, 64 Impala.
Does it bounce?
Yes, it does.
She says she first learned about car mechanics from old men in the neighborhood. A job she had installing car radios helped her realize she could take cars apart and put them back together.
You want to drive it? You gonna let me drive?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Let's do it. Put it in park. So take it for a spin. Your seatbelt.
You might need a booster seat.
I think I might. Is this three-wheeling?
Yeah.
Go ride. How'd I do? Thanks, sis.
What Tina Blankenship is also showing is that even lowriding became a culture of change, personal too for Autumn Neary.
She's a working girl.
A curator at the Peterson Automotive Museum.
The lowrider culture wasn't always kind to women.
I think women were objectified in a lot of ways on the paint jobs, the murals that are featured, very sexually explicit. There were even vehicles that we considered showing here that were a little too risque for some of our audiences.
Still, the lowriders speak to a global phenomenon and may hold a lesson beyond cars. Cultural differences, given time, may not be different at all. There may be a hidden art worth celebrating.
For more stories like these and live coverage of breaking news, stream us right here on CBS News 24/7. I'm Michelle Miller. Thank you for watching Eye on America.